Hello, this is Father David here on the fifth Wednesday of Great Lent. We are reading today out of Father Stephen's meditation on the reading from Isaiah. And this really got my attention because I remember the verse that is read today, one of the verses that's read today, Isaiah 41:10. I quoted this as a young evangelical Protestant who was going off on mission trips, and we would quote this and put this on T-shirts and all of these things. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And I can tell you that not everyone who would quote this would quote it so out of context, but our understanding was, yes, that God will uphold us with his right hand, that there will be victory, that there will be blessings, that there will be good things to come because of God's merciful and powerful guidance. But Father Stephen reminds us that this verse comes as maybe a cold comfort, because Israel had been extremely disobedient to the point where God was going to allow, while the kingdom of Judah will be saved from invasion by the Assyrians, but then the Babylonian army will capture it and the people will be exiled because of their disobedience. And so God is allowing this to happen. And yet, he says for them to fear not, for I am still with you. This was meant to be an encouragement when God allows impending persecution to happen. And even not only persecution when we're innocent, but persecution for our correction, for our continued understanding of what it is he wants from us, how it is he wants us to live. That God is not beyond allowing these things happening to us to get our attention. He also speaks of Venerable Alexis, the man of God, a saint in the 5th century in Rome. He was the son of a rich senator. Like St. Anthony, who we talked about yesterday, he fled from his father's house and he embraced a life of poverty. And not only poverty, but he was living under a portico near a church dedicated to the Mother of God. The icon of the Mother of God spoke and said, "This is Alexis, the man of God." He fled, fearing notoriety, fearing vainglory, that he would be, praised for his humility. So he fled back to his father's house and begged to live in a corner of his courtyard. His father didn't even recognize him. And so he lived the rest of his life, it says, living unrecognized on his father's property, bearing in patience and silence the ill treatment of the household servants. He also suffered emotional distress in witnessing the mourning of his parents and the young wife he had abandoned. And only at Alexis's death was his identity revealed. He had written down his name and an account of his life and clasped the message in his hand as he reposed, as he died. The emperor and the pope carried the body of Alexis into the church of St. Peter, where it remained 1 week before being placed in a marble crypt. The relics of the saint, which gushed fragrant myrrh, eventually were buried in the church of St. Boniface and were uncovered in 1216. And then this prayer. Father Stephen will also just put a short prayer at the end of the life of the saint that he commemorates that day. It says, "Lord, Saint Alexis accepted humiliation at great personal cost. Let me learn from his life when I need to be humbled." Now, of course, Saint Alexis, like Saint Anthony, I think it was a couple of days ago actually, embraced a life of radical poverty, radical self-renunciation, radical humiliation, radical unknowing right? Lack of recognition. No one recognized him. He fled recognition. And we can only understand that he discerned that that was necessary for his salvation. Maybe he realized that about himself. He craved recognition. He craved notoriety. He knew that in his father's house as a rich young man, he'd have all of that recognition. And so he fled from it. And God placed in his path much anguish, much difficulty. But just like with the children of Israel, who were undergoing persecution for their own sins, he and also we need to remember that God is with us, that God has never abandoned us, and that we find in that persecution, in that misfortune, even in that deprivation, giving up the things we want that are sinful, that we find our satisfaction, our completion in the presence of the Lord. So God bless you, and Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.